I'm ready
Okay.
to go. Yeah.
All righty.
Thanks.
Sure. Thank you. Good morning. Come on in. Come on in. Get started in just a minute here. I'm John Lee with the St. Louis Real Estate Investors Association. Today is April 30th, 2021. We're here with Kathy Davis, Lloyd Allender, and everybody else who's chiming in here. Let's see. Well, I'll let people keep coming on in. And Kathy, whenever you want to get started, it's right at 11. You just help yourself.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hey guys, it's good to see you all this week. It's been another interesting week. I feel like when you go to the state fair and they have the carnival games and you play that game where you whack the mole, I feel like as soon as we get one problem taken care of, more pop up. Um, as you may have seen, the St. Louis County Council passed an eviction ban this week. We think they are basically insane. There are people massing to sue them. We don't know if anybody's going to do it because we don't think it's going to present a problem for us. And I'll tell you why. Their ban is the same pretty much as the CDC ban. And we are already kind of working through that. They seem to think that there's still these famous 600 pending evictions in St. Louis County, and there's not. Those 600 evictions got worked through in the first week or two after Judge Burton lifted his eviction stay. And we have now surpassed 1,200 eviction writs issued, processed, and scheduled. Not just for us, for the whole county. We can tell because each one gets a number, and they're over 1,200 so far. So they have worked through all these evictions. And as I said, Christine rolls her eyes when I do this, that I predicted it. But I had told the judges, said this on meetings. I had said, there is not really 600 evictions waiting to all happen. That a lot of those people have moved or paid and nobody went into the system and canceled it. Or the person will move or pay when the sheriff sticks the sticker on their door. So a lot of those are going to go away. And in fact, they did. We found out that some people, and we have heard two different things. One is St. Louis County, and one is this small charity run by this woman, are getting the lists of evictions from the county, and they're going out and posting information about the CDC moratorium on all the doors after the sheriff goes out and posts. We know someone's doing something because a lot of people are filing these moratorium declarations at the last minute. And some of them are people who maybe now were finally spurred on to apply for assistance. So, we look at that as being sort of a good thing. If those people can get going and get their applications in and get you guys paid, great. But some of them are what we call in the legal profession liars. They are filling out these declarations and they are checking these boxes about I've done my best to make partial payments and I've applied for assistance and all this. And those statements are not true. And they are checking these boxes under penalty of perjury. It's very interesting. But I tried 3 motions to strike CDC declarations last week and I won all 3 of them. Now, obviously for our first ones, we cherry picked the ones that we felt we had the strongest case to defeat the moratorium, the declaration. On one, the person hadn't even checked the box that said she had applied for assistance and made partial payments. And charitably, we believed that that was maybe because she didn't want to commit perjury. So she was evicted earlier this week because we won on that one. And that was someone who had not made any payments since January of 2019 and had told our client that she wasn't going to move or pay until the sheriff came. Well, the sheriff came and she moved. So that one was done. We had 2 others that were similar in that they hadn't paid since last June, long history of making no payments at all. The one guy, I think what we think is a drug dealer, and we put on some evidence to that effect. And he claimed to the judge that he had not had any money to pay anything, in almost a year. But he still had a car and he's leaving the unit and having people come over at odd hours and that kind of thing. The judge struck his CDC declaration. And then we had a woman, and these people appeared. I mean, we had a woman who came on and claimed that she had had no money to even make a partial payment towards the rent because she had to get a new car and a new phone. Now, I have an 8-year-old car. I would like a new car, but I'm not getting a new car. So, you know, obviously the priorities, right? And she actually submitted to the court a letter that the judge found to be forged, purporting to be from a charity that claimed that the landlord had refused to take money. I mean, our landlords are generally not refusing to take money. And this landlord, the woman from the landlord, did a great job. And she basically said, Judge, if someone wants to give me money, I'll take it. And she described how she fills out the forms and responds to the charities. And those of you who do a lot of this know there's a lot of different charities and different requirements, and there's a lot of paperwork and everything. And she was very convincing, I thought, about she's right on top of that. She's getting that paperwork in. And in any event, the judge did not believe that tenant either, and her CDC moratorium got stricken. As I said, we've had some CDC moratoriums where they're applying for the assistance. And for the most part, we're okay with that. Depends on our client, what they want to do, but you know, the new county ERAP program will give them up to a year of past due rent and 3 months in advance, which is a nice chunk of change, you know, for a lot of people. If it's a tenant that you want to get out no matter what, the CDC, you know, because they've broken the law or violated other lease terms, that kind of thing, we can get them out anyway. Now let me move on to the county ERAP program. Last week, I told you that we had heard problems about it. Well, this week we've heard more problems. We have some clients who are bigger clients who have a lot of staff who have been successful. I think that some of them are just basically dragging the tenant into the office and making them fill out the forms and making them apply online and, you know, mommying them until they get their work done. But some of the problems with the ERAP program, I don't think are really the tenant's fault, especially given the level of cluelessness among a lot of tenants. But they go on the online portal, which is now working, we hear, and they apply, and it doesn't come back and say to them, print these forms out and get your landlord to fill them out and send them in. It doesn't tell them anything. Somehow they're supposed to know this. The odds of them figuring this out on their own are slim. Christine has called the ERAP person, who doesn't seem very knowledgeable, and got her to track down the forms and submit them to the landlord herself on one thing, but they are not really reaching out and facilitating getting this work done. So if you have a tenant who has applied for the county ERAP program, they should first of all have a printout with a receipt of their application that gives an application number. And then if you have that and you have the date of birth and their social, you can call that number on the county website, the number for the ERAP program, and they can tell you the status of the application. And Christine had a little bit of a hard time persuading this lady the other day about what she should do, but we think we now have talked them into the idea that if the landlord calls with this information, they will get you access to these forms that need to be completed so the money can be dispersed out. And they are dispersing the money to the landlords, so it won't go into the hands of the tenant, and you can get some money. I'd be really interested to hear from you right now or after, if you prefer, about whether anyone has successfully gotten money from the new county program and how it went. And I'm looking at Dave Soto because I know he has a good staff and might have
Yeah, so we
successful.
were finally successful, but it wasn't through the county program; it's through just the state program.
Okay.
So
I know you had some bureaucratic problems with that
yes,
one.
some serious
Yeah.
issues, but it finally went through.
Oh, that's good. Anybody else have any success with programs to report? Now, if anybody wants to talk to me, call me afterwards or send me an email or whatever about their experience calling me, and I'm calling them, and I'm talking to a couple of representatives of some of the councilmen and that kind of thing. And my feeling about what they're doing is, look, you guys are idiots. You shouldn't have passed that bill. You're going to get sued now. You're putting the sheriff in a bad position. And what you really should be doing is sticking to your knitting and figuring out why that program isn't dispersing funds to everybody the way it should. Work on that instead of harassing us. So let's move on to the city. The city, I know we've said this before. But we've heard on a lot of authorities this time that the judge is going to lift the eviction stay on Monday. And there's some kind of qualification with it that I'm not sure I understood, or the people who were telling me about this maybe didn't understand what he was saying. But I think that they're going to start with the oldest evictions first, which is what they should do, the ones that are pending. So if you have a city judgment and you don't have an execution on file, get it on file now so it can get in line. And I'm going to say, I think it's going to be the same as with the county. They're going to have a few hundred that are in line, but they're going to go through those very quickly. The reason why we believe this now more than other times is because Chris has been getting phone calls from the sheriff on older executions, asking if the client still wanted the execution and that kind of thing. So we think the sheriff is already gearing up and getting things scheduled for the judge's announcement, which we hope is going to be on Monday, that evictions are resumed. We have also heard in the city that their program, and I don't know if they call it ERAP, but their program with the new money from December is running a lot more smoothly, and money's getting dispersed out, and clients are getting payments, and there seems to be more happiness in the city with how that's going this time. And I don't know a lot of details other than that, because since no one's complaining, I'm not hearing that much about it. But I talked to a landlord the other day who said, we're so busy here because people are coming in and making payments all the time, and we're doing documents. And so, that's a good thing. It's not going to last forever, I don't think, but hopefully it'll get people over this hump and get our landlords over this hump and, get to a point where we can return to normal. Which normal, I think, should be people getting vaccinated and getting a job, because there's a lot of jobs out there. And, let's quit laying around the shanty and depending on the government to pay all your bills. I know a lot of places that are hiring. I feel like everywhere I go, they've got signs up, help wanted, and, that kind of thing. So it's time to get back to work, everybody. I tried a case in Hillsborough this week. In Hillsborough, in person, my first in-person trial in over a year, in front of Judge Manansala. It was a commercial unlawful detainer. It went really well. It was very long because the other attorney was insane, but the judge, I'm in love with this judge now. I told Chris, because Chris usually does the Jefferson. When I came back, I'm like, I love this judge, because the first thing he did was the court reporter couldn't hear anybody. So he let us all take our masks off in the courtroom. He said, are you comfortable? And I said, well, I've been vaccinated. I'm fine. My witnesses have all been vaccinated. We're all fine. The other attorney was very old. And I asked him if he was okay with it. And he said he was. And I'm telling you, for the court reporter, because we're all sitting, far apart because of social distancing, for the court reporter to hear everybody through their masks was almost impossible. And I can tell you, it's hard to be in court and be talking so that the judge and the court reporter and the witness can all hear you with your mask on for a long period of time. That's a strain. So I was really pleased that he let us do that. So as far as I can tell, Jefferson County and St. Charles County are just normal. In fact, I think there's only a few counties left in the whole state that have not had the courts go to what they call phase 4. And of course, one of them is our dear friend, St. Louis County. They post their phase announcements. I usually see them on Monday morning, although the next one will be dated today, but I usually won't see it until Monday. And they go on for several pages about Dr. Fauci and the CDC and the World Health Organization and charts and, instances of COVID and all this. And last week, they didn't even have any new cases of COVID in the courthouse or the jail, which is like a miracle. And they still wouldn't go from phase 2 to phase 3. I think they're very afraid of having more people in the courthouse and how they're going to handle that. And I just don't know how long they're going to take. They have started having jury trials in the city and the county. they've already been having them in St. Charles. But in the city, you may have read in the paper, they're trying that triple murder, that Eric Lawson. And they had a problem. I'm not going to say it's funny because it's kind of sad, but they had a problem picking the jury because jurors kept coming down. They'd pick someone and they'd come down with COVID. They'd test positive. And then they'd have to go back to the pool and bring more potential jurors in to get picked from. So they had a heck of a time, but that trial has started. There's been a lot of talk about people complaining about that trial, that it's not audible and the press is being kept in a different room and, you know, that kind of thing. So it just goes to show you they'll complain about anything, no matter what it is. It's kind of like the whole thing with the people in the jail that are rioting and wanting to close the workhouse. They're going to close the workhouse. There's not room in the county jail to house those prisoners. So they're going to be sent out state. Then they're going to complain about that. Their lawyer can't visit them because they're in Potosi. And the Potosi jail is really bad. I mean, it makes the workhouse look like the ballpark Hilton, I'll tell you that. And, you know, their families can't go visit them. So they're not going to like it no matter what happens. I've given up on that, you know, pleasing them. But the press doesn't like it that they feel like they're not getting good access to this trial. But if they crammed everybody in one courtroom, that wouldn't be good either. And if they didn't have the trial, then you'd be having somebody who can't get their speedy trial. Did you see those people down there rioting because they wanted to get a speedy trial? Well, you can only get a speedy trial if you have people in a courtroom. I mean, they're doing the best they can. And they can't bring that many jurors in every week to send a lot of cases out. They are sending out, I think, each in the city and the county, 2 cases a week for criminal jury trials. And this is going to be, I think, similar to our eviction backlog, that a lot of these cases have been sitting because there hasn't been the pressure of a trial coming up. And once there's a pressure of the trial, the likelihood of some of those people making plea bargains and everything is going to increase a good deal. Some of them don't have much to gain by having a trial, and they should be able to make, you know, the public defenders and the prosecutors should be able to make deals. Okay, so I think that's all I have this week. Is somebody saying something in the chat? Let me look, hang on. Got research that said masks are dangerous. Rick, we're gonna have to disagree on that, so let's maybe not go over that right now.
I got a question for you, Kathy. Yeah,
Okay.
you mentioned that the in the past that the St. Louis County program is being administered by a company in California.
Yes,
Is that the Nan McKay and Associates, or do you know the name?
yes, that is the name.
Okay.
That is the name.
Yeah, because I was contacted by email this week from somebody there that wanted to have a good contact for our group. I guess they were searching online for potential landlord groups to get the word out. So I didn't actually send an email back and invited her to come on a Zoom. We'll set up a special Zoom meeting if they're willing to do a presentation for us.
Oh, can I be invited to that, please?
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
You'll
Yeah,
have some good questions for them, I'm sure.
yes, I think that their rollout has been horrible. And I also think, and I'll repeat myself by saying this, but I think the county should quit worrying about stopping evictions and stopping legitimate court orders and messing with the sheriff in the courts. And they should start worrying about getting that money paid out and getting that process to work. To me, it's inexcusable that it took them until April 5th from the end of December to get that website working. That's just insane. And they paid that Nan McKay group $3 million. They paid them 10% of the 30 million. So that's 3 million less that can be given out. And I don't think they got a good value for that money.
Yeah, I remember you said it was 10, they paid 10% out. I had forgotten
10%.
it was $30 million. I thought it was only $10 billion.
No, it's 30 million.
They're getting 3 million. Wow.
They're getting 3 million.
I'll remind this lady that contacted me and they're paid well. They ought to be doing a Zoom anytime we ask them to.
That's right. That's right. And okay. Patrice wants me to repeat the city of St. Louis. I think the good news is, Patrice and everybody, that we think on Monday, the judge is issuing an order to open up all evictions in the city. There's some caveat to it. We think it's starting with the oldest evictions, but we really think it's going to happen this time. The sheriff has been calling us and calling Chris and scheduling executions and finding out if they still want it. And John says we'll have replay of this too. Or call me or email me if you missed something and you want me to tell you again. But that's basically the deal. I could be back here next Friday saying, oh God, I'm sorry, you guys, it turned out, on May 3rd that the judge decided not to open up all the evictions, but we think he's going to do it. Oh, and I guess one more thing. I don't think I mentioned this. So of course the Board of Aldermen is talking about passing their own eviction stay, which will also be stupid. In the county, apparently the lawyer for the council told them that this bill would be appropriate, which I think is bad legal advice. In the city, we've heard that the city councilor is saying, no, you shouldn't pass this. This is not appropriate. Separation of church and state. I mean, separation of the three branches of government, that kind of thing. This is not something that you can do. You can't order the courts. And they obviously didn't listen in the county. We'll see what happens in the city. But even if they do the same thing as the county did, it's just a rewrite of the CDC moratorium. So we'll deal with it the same way we've been dealing with it. We've won a few of these now, so we're confident. The judge seems to get what we're doing. He has developed a process he wants us to follow with show cause orders for challenging these CDC declarations. So we're going to keep doing that. In the egregious cases where we think the person's lying and that kind of thing, we're going after them. Getting a thumbs up. Thanks. Okay. Anybody else have any more questions or things I can do for you this week? Yeah, Chris got his second shot yesterday, so he went home today. Wasn't feeling great, but I'll be around, or fax us or call me or Heather if you want, if you have an eviction in the county. Oh, Chris is back. How are you feeling, Chris?
Fine.
He says he's feeling fine. I think that's a lie, but so call Chris then. If he wants to say he's feeling fine, he can take his calls if you have an execution in the city you're concerned about. Chris, are we still thinking we're go for Monday? Yeah, he says yes.
They're gonna use 2 weeks to get rid of the old cases, and all the new ones start up in the middle of the month.
Okay, he says 2 weeks to get rid of the old cases, and then all the new ones will start up in the middle of the month. So we should be seeing progress. Okay, guys.